Hello everyone, my name's Elizabeth and today I'm here to show you a really quick and easy stencil technique using 3 paints only and using an ombre technique through a stencil. So let's get straight into it. So this is the Beautiful Ladies collection. We've got 3 stencils in this collection. So this is the one that I'm going to be showing you how to create this exact technique today. So we've got the ombre in here with 3 metallic paints. So we've got the gold, the bronze and the blue in there. And then this is another stencil in the collection. We've got a crackled texture stencil. This has been used using the Dora Perla. This is another product that is on the show. So this has got crushed crystals in it, and we've also ombre this using a paste. And then this is another texture stencil as well, so we can highlight certain areas from this and pick out what sections we'd like on our projects as well. So let's get straight into it. So today I'm going to be using, like I've just said, just 3 paints only. So this to create this stencil, it's 3 paints, 2 inks, 2 brushes, and then an inking brush. So that's really quick and easy to do. Doesn't require a lot, and you don't have to use these paints. You can use anything that you've got in your craft stash, but I want to show you and educate you on the actual technique that I'm going to be using today. So what we're going to start off by doing is sticking the stencil down. So this stencil is 25 centimetres by 25 centimetres. So it's a little bit different to the other stencils that we do, because usually with Imagination Crafts we do the A4 stencils, but this one's going to give you a little bit of a different size to create your projects with. So this would look amazing on a cushion. It's that sort of little scatter cushion sort of size anyway, and then they could make a card front from it, a canvas project, it can go in a frame, and it fits perfectly. So I'm going to be taking the Cadence stencil spray. So you want to spray this onto the reverse of the stencil, and we're just going to give it a really light waft, and that's all it will need. So I'm going to pop this down. So with the stencil, if you pop it down and you're not quite sure and you're not quite happy with where you're placing it, the beauty about the stencil spray is you can peel it off, pop it back down, and it's still going to remain with that tackiness. So line it up where you would like the stencil, pop it down, and then just push it into place, just burnishing all them little parts of the stencils down. Okay, so when you're happy that it's stuck, we're going to lay out our paints. So this is the colour Antique Dark Copper. I'm going to be placing a small amount out, and then doing that with the other colours. Make sure you give the hybrids a shake. That's with every paint that we're using today. Make sure you do give it a shake, just making sure that all the pigment is blended. And the same again. Right, so I like to put my nail line to see what colours I've got, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the paint, take it off here and then blend here. So I work in sections of 3. So I'm going to be taking my first brush, and we're going to start with the Antique Dark Copper. So we've got Antique Dark Copper, Sapphire Blue and Antique Gold. So like I say, we're going to take off the paint here, and we're going to start. Now when you're doing this, the stencil will start to look a little bit messy, but don't worry about that. We're just going to keep blending, because when it's done it's going to look really crisp and clear. So working into separate parts of the stencil, just buffing it in really quick. We can go back in to the paint that we've just taken off, so we don't need a lot of this to buff in and blend. So we're going to keep working into it. And really lightly using a buffing motion. You can use the stipple motion with this, but I want it to be a really light, soft, smoky feel. And then build up the colour. So a little bit at a time, and then if you would like the intensity to be a little bit more, we build on top of it, but keeping it really light and buffing it in. So now I want to change the colour, so I'm going to swap the brush. So I'm going to be taking a different stipple brush, and we're going to be going into the blue, and then again taking off the colour and then working it in and blending it up. So as we reach the other colours, we just want to take off a little bit of pressure and blend it, because it doesn't matter that we're not getting full intensity of the colour when we've got that smoky look going, because you can still see, even with a little amount of pressure, all the colour is still going to be coming through the stencil. There we go. And then using the first brush I've used, I'm going to go back in. So this is going to give us a bit more of a darker shade, because we've still got a little bit of the Antique Dark Copper on there, buffing that in. And then taking it on to the stencil. So we're going to get 3 variations of colour there. and the gold's really going to pop through because this is your lighter colour. So this is going to be a bit more intense. Building it up and working it in. And then making sure that if you've missed any parts of the stencils, even if it's not with the colour that you've put down, making sure that it's all gone on. That's the beauty of the ombre stencil. You can just really quickly buff it in. You don't have to be too precious about where you're putting it. And it's a really quick and easy technique to do, but it's really effective. And it adds a lot of depth and dimension to your projects as well. And I think I want to add a little bit of purple in there. So what I'm going to do, so obviously red and blue makes purple. I'm going to pick up a little bit here and then take a little bit from the blue, and we're going to mix that really coppery dark purple on there just so we've got a little bit more contrast. And then again, buff that in. When the paint catches the light with the paints being metallic, it really sparkles, and it just adds a little bit something different. Again, working against the matte colours as well. It looks really nice. There we are. So pop your stipple brushes in water, make sure that you do give them a good clean as soon as you've finished using them. And then we're going to reveal the stencil. Here we are. And how amazing does that look? So you can see all the different variations of colour on there. We've got the light against the dark, and it really works. So then now I'm going to be taking an inking brush and we're going to be going into the ink and then buffing it around onto the edges, so this gives the stencil a vintage look. And we're going to just keep working in, keep building the intensity of the colour. This to me looks like the like an old-fashioned shop front, especially with this font. I really like the font on this stencil. It reminds me of something back in the day when you'd see the old Victorian shops. You can really picture it on something like that. So I want to take it back and vintage it up, buffing the edges in. So then when you're happy with the colour intensity and you've built it up, you can add other colours on there as well. So I'm going to take a lighter colour on there and buff that in as well, so we're getting different variations of that vintage look. There we are. So what I'd keep doing is building that up, but for the purpose of the video, I have got one that I've done. Okay, so this is the finished effect. So how amazing does that look, especially against with the tea stain sort of look background that we've done with the inking. I think like it just really ties it all together. So I am going to be doing some more educational classes for you all, and I have got a social media page as well, which is going to be tagged in the description. So make sure you give me a like and a follow, and make sure that you give any comments or anything that you would like to see me do. So thank you for watching today.